open the meeting. All right, folks, thank you for coming. Item 2, we have our minutes. And there's plenty of quorum to vote on it.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes from the March meeting.
Okay, second somewhere? Mr. Claypool, second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, motion passes. Okay, Chris, public comments
Yep,
number 3.
no public comments, but I just wanted to mention something. Ciara Hooks, who was the reporter who was at the Herald, then she went to the Berlin Citizen before they were purchased by Hearst. She was basically moved to another territory. She's back in Burlington. So the good thing is she's probably the only reporter that really does consistent Berlin news. So the good news is I'm trying to kind of keep her in the loop on what's happening. So that's good news because you guys, I think we all know the Berlin Citizen is not the Berlin Citizen we've known for a long time. So trying to get articles in there once in a while, but Ciara has been really good for a while.
So that's all she does is Berlin Citizen?
Berlin Citizen is her main thing. She's gonna be doing other stuff outside, but her focus is really Berlin now.
That's the girl who was at the.
Yes, yeah, well, she did the event on Monday night.
But she's
Yep.
gonna be a Berlin citizen, right?
She's Berlin Citizen, yeah. Yeah, she's,
You know,
yeah, she was at the Herald for a while, and then, yeah, I mean, she's the last linkage we have to local stories, which is great.
Okay.
So basically, the Citizen is gone, right? They have
As you know, it's mostly national. It's the company move.
a few things, Berlin possibly, some ads, but let's say it's not delivered to the house anymore, so it's basically gone.
Well, it's
delivered,
delivered
but it's
at the
driven.
road. They
It's
throw it
already
across the
gone.
driveway.
What, by request?
Yeah, I know, no one's getting it. I know you have to call them. I actually have the name of the company that's doing all the deliveries. And because circulation is way down, no one's getting them. So I talked to them. And he said, listen, winter was rough, there was snow, a lot of wind, you know, all the papers got blown everywhere. And he says, this is what we do. We've been doing this for 20 years. Papers delivering just like this. He said, we'll eventually get it straightened out, and get back on track. I said, well, you know, I pay to advertise and my circulation is going nowhere, you know. And, he says, we understand. He says, a lot of the people that have circular stock, ShopRite and others, they're upset too because it's not getting out there. And so they're trying to work on it, fix it. It's gonna happen. I don't know. I've seen more of them.
Got an
recently.
education, you need to drive by a house, you throw it out of it.
Yeah, well, you don't even need an education. Anyone can do it.
I know.
But you can't find anyone.
Well, that's.
Even the newspaper boys of way back when,
Yes,
you
no
know,
such thing, right?
we can't find a newspaper boy or Sal or anyone.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, the reason why I brought it up, I mentioned this just briefly at the plan and development meeting about the rear reminder. Okay, rear reminder, I think, is like Rocky Hill, Cromwell, and possibly Newington, I think a little bit. But there's legal notices in there and there's articles for the different towns and so forth. And I'm wondering if we can get involved that maybe the rear reminder would include Berlin and everything. Because there is community articles in there, and that's great for those towns. Now, I don't know if the rear reminder was in Berlin years ago.
It was.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, for years. It used to cover Cromwell, Rocky Hill, Berlin, Weathersfield, New England, covered all those towns, and then they sort of cut back.
yeah,
And then they just had a couple towns. But I'm not sure if the rare reminder is delivered to mailboxes anymore. I think you just pick it up at like Sitco or Cumberland Farms. I don't think
Yeah.
you deliver it. And that's what
I
happened.
enjoy reading it
Yeah,
because there's a lot of different little things to offer in there. Okay, but reason why it was brought up is there's legal notices in there, and the town might have been Maureen that mentioned the cost of putting legal notices in, like the Riverton Herald and so forth. So all you need is a circulation paper. If the town wanted to put it in there, it'd be a lot cheaper for them. too.
right.
But just an idea.
I think it'd be wonderful.
Yeah.
I'd love to get the real reminder. You know, the citizen people told me, they said, look, we can't afford to post them. It's too expensive to deliver the newspaper in every house.
It's all understandable. It's just,
It's surprising you can't get it on. Citizen.
There is, there is, there is
Nobody wants it.
an e-paper, you can get some of it online.
at this point.
Citizen, You can, I think you can.
but it's nothing like it was
I
15,
had
20
a
years ago.
conversation. I used to advertise. And different towns, and then they literally took my front ends out, and then digitally, not even let me. I called them in and I said, look, I understand. If you don't put local stuff, then the people have no reason to take it up, because they get the national stuff anyway. So you're trying to save a little bit of money, but you're cutting your feet off underneath you, because the people in the towns that buy these things aren't gonna advertise them. You're not gonna get advertisers because the local people aren't reading. Like, all you're doing is national, they can find that anyway, go to ABC News, they get that.
Yeah,
They didn't.
yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we want to see a little more of the old fashioned print. You know, the reporter comes to the meeting and he reports on it.
Yeah, I mean, I can have a discussion with Ciara. I mean, she's now doing Berlin News again. I mean, she's been our biggest advocate for a number of years, even though now it's, again, Citizen versus the Herald. Happy to talk to her and see if there's a discussion that makes sense on what,
Okay.
how can it be done? Again, is it something?
To some of our events.
Yeah.
You asked-
Oh, yeah,
Pretty
absolutely.
engaged, she was a nice
Yeah,
lady.
she was at our Monday night event, and so I don't know, is there a way, again, do we do something similar like do we do hey, look, we're gonna have the papers at X number of businesses, et cetera. If we can make their life easier and be able to get the paper out there, I'm happy to help facilitate.
I have the contact information. Company does all the deliveries. I actually told them, I said, listen, you should put an insert in the paper. So that the people that get it can say, hey, okay, this is what you're doing, because no one knows what you're doing. You know, why is it switched from postal to float in your driveway?
Correct.
And then I told them, I said, you should go on Berlin Buzz and Berlin Talks and post what happened to the Berlin Citizen. Tell people that they can call this number to make sure they're on the list. He said he was gonna do it. I don't know.
So you said that they put it in some businesses? Maybe some.
Well, the red reminder, I believe, is that's what the reminder was, because I don't.
Oh, but not the Citizen.
Not the Citizen. No, the Citizen, they just put it in a little orange bag and chuck it in the front yard. That's what they do now.
Yeah, so I mean, you friendly enough to ask her to come to a meeting,
Absolutely.
Right.
because my thought is why don't we say to her, listen. I'll be a rock star. Start bringing in local interest. We'll give you a unique business every week that you talk about, you talk to the owner, what's the key to success, there's a whole bunch of stuff in there. You need content.
Yep.
And pitch it, maybe she'll get us, we can talk to the people that run it, but. It can help Berlin, help anything.
Yeah.
Then they could specify if this individual town and build the readership. Still enough people that want to read.
I think at this moment, most of the Berlin residents goes to Stop and Shop. Almost once a week, we better go to buy something. So if they can have a present at Stop and Shop, so everybody can pick it up.
Yeah.
We all go there.
Right.
I think that would be the way to go. for
It's
that,
easy enough.
really
Yeah.
Easy now. and-
They gotta have more stuff in here of interest. to
Yeah,
post.
exactly.
Correct.
Not just
Well, like,
the
because
national
it was
stuff,
just a
Yeah.
local.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll invite her
Anything in
for
here.
next meeting, absolutely. Ready. No abatements. So planning and zoning, FHI studio, the third public hearing was held last week, actually. They actually went through. Ended up leaving like 10:30 at night. Things got very weird towards the end. To the point where they kept the 50-foot setback and the 2-acre minimum for both the BT1 and BT2. Everything before that, it looked like it'd been going to 1.5 and 25, but not sure what happened. And public hearing was closed and there really was not much I could say. They did add a handful of uses to both zones, but car washes are allowed on 1.5 acres. Why the differentiation? I don't know, but I'm going to take it kind of as it is. They did not take action on the SPDD only because it was so late at night. And I think there's a pretty good chance they're gonna do something with that. I'd say down to the train station, very, very unlikely they're gonna do anything with that at all with the density. I think they want to see everything get built out first.
Back there. When you mentioned about traffic being backed up. because there was an accident or something on Route 9.
Mhm.
And I'm not gonna. Forget it.
That's backed up on Irvington Avenue when there's an accident on Route 9 every time before
Well-
Steel Center or anything.
That's why.
Yep.
I'm not gonna say.
We're an actual service route.
Yeah,
Yep.
no,
So,
I'm not gonna
um,
say
So
that.
P and Z is gonna, still working on it.
still working on it. Yes, the
Paving it.
next meeting is May 1st. There's no other meeting in April. So we brought the developers in for Norton and Fora. They're the multi-buildings for clean contractors. It might be good to have some planning and zoning members, excuse me, some economic development commission members at the May 1st meeting. There was, a lot of pushback. There were some residents in the area that were there. But I think it's important that people understand what that road is. It is industrial on one side. It's going to be industrial. And I think the gentleman needs our support to be able to get this in there, because I don't want to see him get completely blindsided or the commission take the last and the loudest voice.
So
go with that
Chris,
one. Yep.
I've seen the yellow signs, the public hearing
Mm-hmm.
posted. Is that coming up?
They did the first
They did.
one. They just did the first one the other night on 4-3.
Who's the pushback coming from? Local residents?
Did some neighbors in the area, but I think the commission itself was. They were incredibly wishy-washy is what it was.
And I asked the developer last time, I said,
Yep.
is this, does the zoning allow what you're doing without any changes, right? And he said, no, it allows it.
Yep.
So it's like building a house on a half-acre lot in Berlin. If half-acre zoning, you build your house and it's over. So truthfully, there's nothing anyone can do if the zone allows it, unless P and Z wants to rough them up a little bit and make them do things. Make them do a lot of things, but the zone allows it. So what is it?
Not a zone change.
It's not a zone.
If anything, you add, you probably have a request for more landscaping and so forth.
That's what I thought would become. I think we talked about.
Yeah.
Putting it up on the sides where everybody sees
Yep.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
this has been that zone probably longer than most of the people lived in that area,
Oh, yeah.
you know.
So it's allowed and.
Yeah,
Actually, they can't deny it. The zone allows it, right?
It just, to me, it was very weird because there just is a lot of discussion and sway within the commission and not necessarily looking at what the word's saying.
Yeah, okay.
So it's just something and I think it's important because it is.
They'll figure out
That's
the
right.
words say, otherwise
Yep.
they have a lawsuit, another lawsuit, you know what I mean? That's what's gonna happen.
Yep, I agree.
The zone allows it, so what are you gonna do?
Zoning fluid.
Yeah, they should work it out.
What's Vesta there? Chris?
Here, give me 1 second. Actually, I'm gonna have,
Hey, not like there's traffic all night. 5:30, everybody's cleared out.
Well, that was interesting. Remember, we wanted to put the industrial park on, what street Lori lives on?
Okay, right.
Tollgate Road.
Yeah, tollgate,
The whole
Rambus is fine.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes,
right.
okay. And the
Oh,
neighbors.
no, not even Rapids.
I think-
No, right, well, at the housing development, it's beginning of Tollgate Road. Matera and,
Oh, the other end?
Yeah.
that end, the
On Meadow?
Tollgate Road, right at the end, where all the houses are, and where the Banowski's farm was, and
Yeah,
one industrial there. That's what you're talking about, right?
Yeah. And they have probably more traffic now in and out all day long than. If there was industrial up there by 6 o'clock, 5 o'clock, it would all be done with, you know, but. They all let it slide and the houses went in. There's 2 houses up there that are affordable for the next 35 years or something, and that's it.
so I had Jim come on to kind of explain quickly on Vesta. So, Mr. Jim, you're up on Vesta. If you just want to give a quick background and kind of where we are.
Yeah, hi, Jen.
I don't know how far back we're going, but obviously Vesta was selected as developer for Columbus, 143 Percival Avenue. Their proposal was to build 70 units. The previous housing authority plan was like 50 units. They have started to they've started the application process with Department of Housing and CHFA for financing and tax credits. which is really going to be key to this project.
This is
Um,
Knights of
obviously-
Columbus.
Yes, nice Columbus, yeah,
Nice, so everyone knows, it's nice Columbus property.
yes.
Okay,
Yes.
okay.
Yeah, so, this is affordable senior housing, which was the number one priority in our affordable housing plan. Units would be at 50 or 60, 50 to 60%. Most of the units would be 50 to 60% of average median income. So the rental would be capped at 30% of that level. The statuses that they've applied to both wetlands and planning and zoning. Wetlands has scheduled the public hearing. P&Z hasn't started the process yet. And they are, part of their proposal from the beginning, and the town has a purchase and sale agreement to sell them the property with contingencies, obviously that they get the financing and they have to, keep it affordable for quite a long time and all that stuff. But part of their proposal was that they were looking for tax abatement. So there is the tax abatement that they're requesting for this project is beyond our current tax abatement policy, in part because it would extend longer because our affordability requirements extend for, I think, 99 years. So there's a different state statute that could be considered for this. And then, but it has to be, the first point in that would be for the council to set up an ordinance that allows using that statute. So the council, I would expect maybe at their April 22nd meeting, they'll probably start to talk about that and work on that on the tax abatement end of it. But again, at this point, the hope is that if they get their P and Z approvals, that by June, that their goal is to still close on the acquisition by December. So that's what they're trying to achieve. Again, they're looking to CHFA for 4% tax credits, low-income housing tax credits. They're also looking for significant amount of, DOE, Department of Housing grants for the program. We've had conversations with Department of Housing. They've kind of made the first cut in terms of making it into the pipeline for funding this year, but they have to keep on showing progress and pursue it step by step. So it's kind of a quick overview. I don't know if you have any questions.
No, it's perfect. And I just wanted to show a map here quick. So here's the town hall complex where we're currently sitting. Marjorie Moore behind us. There's kind of an open field here. This is Percival Field. This is the Knights of Columbus itself. So again, if things could work nicely, the development would be here, and then even potentially some walking paths or something to get the seniors to the town hall complex. So this is something the town has had for a while. The housing authority had it for 15 years, plus or minus, couldn't put it together. We actually had a nice meeting with the folks from Best up at the senior center, and they kind of gave a quick overview of things. And so I'm hopeful. Vesta's actually second generation Connecticut company, family owned. So again, they need to get the financing, of course, but as compared to some of the folks that we've spoken with in the past, who, I hate to say it, their intent is developers' fees and tax credits. It's not necessarily developed for the community. These guys seem to be about the same page with us because they've done this before. They're doing a couple projects right now around Connecticut. So I feel good about working with them versus ones that may or may not have the town of Berlin's interests at heart.
So who picked Vesta?
It was a committee of 4 or 5 of us, Jim. I'm trying to remember who it was total. It was I want to say myself, Maureen,
Arosha and Mike.
Rosha, and Mike Gahern.
Yeah, I was sitting on the sidelines, but yeah, listening. And the council, yeah, they made the recommendation, and the council heard their presentation and authorized the process to enter into a negotiating agreement with them and then a purchase agreement.
Yeah, they were the best candidate for the fact that we got Penrose who did the stuff down by the Meriden train station.
Okay, so you say they're a Connecticut company, where are they out of?
Sort of Simsbury.
They're out of Simsbury,
Yep.
okay. And then, do we have a site plan yet?
They're working through wetlands right now, so we have not.
Yeah,
got planning and
they've
zoning.
submitted to planning and zoning, so you can
Okay.
get a copy of that.
Okay, and so the piece of land that's just below that green square, that's Berlin property, right, Chris, just below? that?
Yes,
We
yeah,
don't
yeah,
have
it's
that, right?
all town, yes.
And so the current development that Vest is talking about is only on the Knights of Columbus site there, that left
I
piece?
believe it
It
is,
doesn't
right.
approach into the other piece?
No, actually the opposite, because there's, when the surveys were done, when we're working with the housing authority, we identified that like part of the outfield at Percival Field was actually on the Knights of Columbus property. So in the sale, we're, going to do a lot line revision to keep that in Percival Field. So it's a little less than the original Knights of Columbus property.
And when is the plan? I think I heard Chris Edge say they're gonna own the property.
Yes.
And when does title transfer? Because we had that same problem with Kensington Grammar School, where we transferred title years ago to a developer and nothing happened for years. And then actually, it was transferred to another developer, and it just sat there as an eyesore until the church bought it. So, I have some concerns about transferring to the developer before things get underway.
Yeah,
Sure, things happen the way we want. And the other thing, Chris, as you just said, there were some other developers that you looked at that you weren't sure were gonna give the town what they wanted.
Yep.
But I guess I don't understand how that's an issue, because if we own the land,
Mhm.
we can tell them what we want, or we're not gonna give you the land or sell you the land. I think that we have control over it because we own the land.
we do.
So and the other item that I've talked about in the past was connecting the Knights of Columbus to the town hall, so that by car, not just by trail, not by walking trail. Because we own all that land, and I said, really, you can make the town hall complex and the Knights of Columbus complex, you can make it like a college campus feel, and I've said that. But I don't see this happening now because I haven't seen a site plan. But I asked if there's anyone using the land below the green square. We're not gonna use that land. So it really would be wonderful for the people at Town Hall to be able to go out Percival Avenue, or to enter Town Hall from Percival Avenue and vice versa. And I think it would be very helpful for if we're gonna have 70 units, and I think it's age restricted, right, Chris?
Yes.
So if we're gonna have 70 units, it'd be wonderful for those people to be able to walk on the sidewalks, down the road, to the library, to Town Hall, to meetings, to be engaged.
Library.
Yeah, and all
Community
this stuff.
center.
So I've said that for years, and I'm not seeing any of that, so I guess I have. some
There is a
concerns.
stream that runs through.
Yeah, I've walked it. I've had the mayor out
Yeah.
there. I've had other people walk. it.
Yeah.
There's a little, I call it a creek. It's about this wide.
Yeah, well, it could be
So
pipe.
they can go right over that. So,
The East Berlin Iron Bridge Company in town, someone's got to be able to cross that stream.
Yeah,
um,
looks like there's a lot of wetlands that are in the middle here, but yes.
But the idea is a good idea.
I've
Yeah,
walked,
yeah,
I've
right.
walked it all. I've walked it all with the mayor. I've walked it by myself. I've walked it with other people. And if people wanted to do, we could do it if they wanted to do it. And it would change, in my opinion, it changes the whole personality of the town hall, library, this new age restricted development. And then we own all that land below the green square. We can do what we want with it. We own it. So I'm not for keeping it separated, and I'm not for just having a couple walking paths. My feeling is there should be connectivity. There can be speed bumps so we don't have traffic. But I think it would be fantastic for people to be able to enter the town hall, the library, the community center, police station from Percival Avenue.
They also mentioned about the police can get through there to get to that section of town quicker.
Yeah. So that's those are my thoughts about this, and I've said it all along, and I don't know, yeah, I guess, I don't know, it's not shovel in the ground, and we haven't sold it.
But that probably it would not involve the developer themselves.
Well,
If
it
you
might-
wanna know that there's going to be a possible right of way through there, through their property. Cause actually. Yeah, actually, that's another thing. You actually are taking public. Vehiculars going through their property to Percival Avenue. So that would have to be in the. Agreement that everybody has a right of way through that.
well, you're absolutely right, if the property is sold. You know, we can enter into a 99-year lease and this developer has to rent it from us and we control the property.
But it still has to be, your agreement has to be in writing.
Yeah, if we own the land, we can have an easement. You're absolutely right. Recording land records and say, hey, police cars, residents can go to the library and they can go through that property.
Developer might think it's not a bad idea either, just have to have something in there, reliability.
You want to know something? If I was a developer, I would want that road to go through so I'd have more interest in my development because the people can walk right to town hall, to the library, the community center, to meetings, to the police department, to town
Well, more than
clerk.
that, they could drive,
So
not
how,
having to go out the main road. Just drive from that facility, the building, right to town hall.
Yeah, they don't have to go around all the way.
Go on the road, nothing.
Yeah,
yeah,
There's a lot of, just gotta get them all together.
but this is not gonna be fairly easy road, so people can even use it for walks.
They
Especially-
probably updated this, but this is what they handed out at the senior center, so I'll just give you guys a check here, so you can take a look at it. All right, yeah, and I think what we can do is have that as part of the discussion, kind of as we move ahead and.
What, we can even put that small parking bay on the side. Because it's gonna be.
Yeah.
Community.
Hmm.
Because we don't have a bike. But
So we put a rodeo in.
Just couple of points. One is, again, we do have the purchase and sale agreement already with Vesta. It does have contingencies. They have to demonstrate that they have financing, et cetera. Before we're going to transfer title. That was the hang up with the housing authority, was we had a contract with them or an option to sell it to them for $1, but they could never get financing, so we would never transfer the property. So another impediment is that there's a conservation easement to the state of Connecticut for all the land, all the Percival Field area, because we got a grant from them to do the soccer fields, which were just, as you know, redone last year. So, even the idea of making a vehicular connection, you'd have to, even if we weren't where we are now with the purchase agreement with Vesta, you'd have to get the state to release the conservation easement. We went around quite a bit with the housing authority, because they want them to release the conservation easement. They were willing to do a 99-year lease or something or a 99-year agreement where or we could do a 99-year lease or a 50-year lease renewable with the housing authority for the back portion that's beyond to the I guess south of the soccer field that's not developed, because the housing authority had wanted that as part of the development or as part to support the development. But the farthest we could get with that is the state, after a couple of years, agreed to allow us to lease it to the housing authority, but it had to stay in conservation.
I think it's just more conversation to be had, I think, as we kind of get some more information about,
Well,
maybe
yeah,
get some
let's-
site
let's
plans.
move on.
Yep.
I guess so the piece of property that's south of the soccer field, the green square, is all conservation area. Is that
And
correct?
the whole thing, really, the whole Percival Field.
So the piece here and the field itself?
Yeah,
Oh, so they're both conservation.
So if you went to the state, Jim, and said, listen, we can keep everything else conservation here, but we want a road to connect the police station, town hall to this development. What are the chances that the state would allow you to do that?
well, who knows with the state? I mean, they haven't been receptive to that type of thing,
All right.
because I think, as you all know, DEP has been criticized for some sales in the past to private entities and the like, and they become very, very skeptical of that. And,
But it's not a
I-
flat, you didn't tell me
I
flat
understand, but
no.
I'm just saying it's going to be tough. And as
Okay.
there's also, on that parcel that's undeveloped, just beyond the, the Knights of Columbus site to the east there's a wetlands band there too. And then you've got, of course, the housing authority property. So you'd have to figure out a way, you have to figure out a way to get in there. It's not easy.
And then you're indicating that we already have signed a contract with the developer.
That's right.
So, we'd have to, so we have a contract. We can't do anything else. We can't do anything. They've signed a purchase and sale with the developer. We're gonna sell them the property if they do this. It's done. It's over. Okay, just so we know, now we know.
Well, I think to keep the discussion open, at least for some type of passage between, if it's just, again, bike, walk, etc. I think that's something that's still important to keep in the mix.
Sure.
It can't be vehicular. At least it could be walking.
Because I mean, some of the most regular, a lot of regulars at the library are our seniors. I think it's important that if we can, to try to keep the connection there, so.
Yeah, we tried to, establish the walking trail. Obviously, we have kind of the bridge and got it up to the soccer field. We got the easement. We had to get the easement from the housing authority to do that. And then the idea was we were going to have that walking trail continue along the north side of the soccer field. But then apparently when they built the soccer field and they did the sprinkler system and stuff, they put the sprinkler system all the way out to the edge of the field. So that's another impediment now. So we'd have to figure it out whether it can go on the other side or whatever. And as you have, Dave, I've walked it as well. And so, that south side of that east or south side of the field is tough because you got that wetland, that gully there. Would have been easier to do it on the other side, on the north side.
Well, I think we just kind of keep it in mind. I mean, it's just going through the process, so.
Yep.
If I get anything plan wise, I'll pass along.
Yeah, that's over. I get it. It's done.
All right,
You
good.
have a purchase and sale. It's all done.
So just quickly, ribbon cuttings, milestones. Thank you, Jim. So Peaceful and Prenatal, which actually is yoga and therapy for to-be moms and recent moms. I just did a ribbon cutting with them. We're doing ribbon cutting and a celebration for Italia Granite from a Latin cuisine down on Deming Road. Introduce some things for Bella and Fo, both new owners. Airmatic, which actually is Sal's nephew. Sal, who had the air compressor place. Dance Legacy Bills. Eat Local, Win Local. We ended up getting 12 food bloggers. Different Pete. Pete Agostini ended up giving us a bus and a driver that night. And actually, he and Liz actually delayed their vacation to join us. It was pretty amazing. The food bloggers were just incredible. It's kind of like behind the scenes at the Oscars. It was very weird. I mean, it was cool, but it was weird. And so a lot of them knew each other, but never met each other. We went to Soulfully Vegan. I'm sorry, went Fancy Sushi, Soulfully Vegan, Mimo Bistro, and then Hop House. And we've gotten some great coverage on basically Instagram, different social medias right now. So it was really great.
That's been fun.
It was a women-owned business celebration. This past Monday, we had about 30 or so women-owned business owners. Had a panel discussion, which Allison from Soulfully Vegan oversaw. The panel was Judy from Fresh Monkey, Tracy from Dragonfly Design, our own Maggie, and Marianne, who does the social media work for It's All in Berlin. And it was a really nice event. It was actually sponsored by Liberty Bank. That was kind of cool. And that was at the art studio. And hopefully we can get some more things going with that.
Pretty good.
It was. It's been a lot going in the last couple of months.
Okay, that's ribbon cutting, Chris.
What's that? That was just underneath the ribbon cutting.
Yeah.
Files.
Do we know who's online with us?
I am not sure. We have Susan. It looks like Lucas, and I'm not sure. If you want to say hello, you can feel free.
Are they muted?
They are currently muted.
All right, so you don't know.
I'm not sure.
Sorry, well,
Who are they?
We're not sure. Arts, culture and history walk. What I wanted to do is, and I put a little something in your packet here, is I want to do a get together and I'm targeting May 8th. Just to essentially get folks in the community together. 'Cause I want this really to be a community effort. Now, this is going to be the walk that starts at McClatchy Park all the way down to Veterans Park 2, next to the VFW. So really the idea would be is to essentially show people the map, the concept, and then literally have yellow sheets. So each like person in the Arts and Culture Committee would be at a sheet, they would walk around the room, really to get input from folks. So right now, if you look at our town, there really is no history shown. I think there's an opportunity here really to put the history out there, not in huge ways, but a little thing that says in 1863, blah, 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 happened here on the property, or talk about the Berlin Redcoats. And these are some folks that are just talking about Veterans Historical Garden Club. And again, would be happy to have other folks, but really get some buy-in from folks on what we're looking to do. Because this is going to be something that if we can make it work well, it really can be a major asset for the community because it can really highlight some things that are really hidden either in the meeting house or in the museum up on Main Street.
They taught,
What's that?
they taught a couple of days for history of our schools. Whenever we go home and say, Mom and Dad, guess what I learned? Now.
It did for a
Wow,
while.
that's the stuff.
It did for a while.
Last time.
Actually, I think it was in the fifth graders they taught, they actually had a book made up about Perron.
I'd be curious to see if they still do.
This where the large brick will be?
Kids know about it.
It might be.
Potentially, yes, Ed. Okay.
But I like the-
And I think we can.
Yeah.
I think we
look
can,
cool.
I was gonna say, and I
Yeah.
think we can make that work for yourself and your wife for the one at the fire station. I think we found a way to do it.
Oh, okay.
We'll figure it out, but I think we found a way. to do it.
Yeah, good. Doesn't mind. Good.
Yeah.
I'll leave it at that.
Absolutely.
all right, so is that arts and culture done? or
Arts and culture, you were on to number 8, my friend.
Okay, so number 8, on number 8, I asked Chris to add some items to the agenda. For item 8, and so the first one is we're talking about the grocery store. And sadly, I've heard and experienced the Stop and Shop and loads of complaints coming from the public about the store. A lot. The list is, you'd be surprised. And a lot of people are not shopping there in town. They're leaving Berlin to go shopping anywhere. Big Y, ShopRite, plenty of stores because they're not satisfied with Stop and Shop. And I've experienced it myself and I understand what they're all complaining about. So Chris and I have been talking for a while, say, hey, we need another grocery store. And one of the sites that Chris and I talked about was where the movie house was. You need a big enough piece. You really don't want it on the other side of the turnpike, so all the residents have to cross the turnpike for it here. But as Chris has indicated, it's hard to find a grocery store because, they're already around us, and to put some store, like Big Y has Rocky Hill and Plainville, and to put one in Berlin would just pull away from probably the Rocky Hill or the Plainville store. So they're not in, so I wanted to bring this up to talk about it because we have a problem here, and the residents are not happy. And I can give you a litany of things I've heard, and I can tell you what I've experienced myself. It's the competition is doing a much better job than Stop and Shop is doing. And so then I talked to Chris and said, well, why don't we have a meeting? I even talked to the mayor about this. We call the mayor, the town manager. We don't want just a manager of Stop and Shop. We want a district manager because they got to fix things. It's a mess. They have expired products everywhere. All right. You go in there in the morning when they open up, they don't have prices on their produce. The produce is not even stacked up. It's empty. And it's, it's 7 a.m. when they open. It's not good. So, and I think that we have a responsibility to our residents to provide them with a good grocery store that, people can be happy with. Because it's hard because everyone has to leave town. It's the only store in town. So I wanted it on the agenda. We can talk about maybe bringing a new store to town. as one of our challenges, or we can talk about, you know, talking to the management at Stop and Shop, how to improve. You know, when they used to open at 6 a.m. and then they changed it to 7. And I used to go at 6 a.m. because I had to shop for my mom. 6 a.m. when they're gonna open, wagons all over the parking lot. A big mess, big mess. I ended up talking to the district manager. I said, you know, you guys are open at 6 a.m. You know, all your wagons should be pulled out from the parking lot. You should have all your, you know, all your produce ready to go, all your shelves ready to go, prices. I'd be looking at something to buy for my mom in the produce area. And I said, well, how much is this thing gonna cost? There's no prices. And not all the time, but a lot of times there was no prices. I looked at, I had to go get a head of lettuce for her the other day, right? They looked like grapefruits. You know, iceberg lettuce does not look like the size of a grapefruit.
So basically, they're telling us take it or leave it.
Well, we
Okay.
haven't, yeah, that's it. We haven't,
About a
local
game in
company.
town, right?
Yeah, I couldn't agree with you more. And here we are promoting the town, and I'll be the first one to say, we only go there when we run out of something. Okay?
Right.
I went there one time at 8:30 to go to the counter. I forget the official word. It doesn't open until 9. You know, where you
What,
get
courtesy
lottery
count?
tickets.
customer
courtesy,
service, yeah,
okay?
courtesy, yeah.
The deli, everything is packaged. You can't pick it out and buy a half a
Right, you
pound.
can't get
or
it
something.
sliced, it's already like.
Okay, something is on sale, but now, originally they gave you the card. You show the card, you get the sale price. Now you have to come in and click it on some machine that you now qualify for something that's on sale. They make it more difficult. Nothing is business friendly there.
Right.
You know, and you hate to say it because we promoted them to come here. You know,
Right.
A lot of heat from that.
Well, Florida
yeah,
compared to locals.
And,
Yeah.
They're
Even
Dutch
like the
company,
meat.
Royal Eagle.
the quality of the meat they have, it's horrible. I never buy meat with it, I always go to Leonard's for
Yeah.
it, because. And then I pick up whatever I need to pick up, like eggs and everything else, because I'm already there, right?
Bean counters.
And the thing about it
They
is,
bring in people that don't understand the business. Bring in someone that just concentrates on numbers, this is.
right,
And it's
But
found,
they're not local, they don't,
No, they're Dutch.
they don't,
Yeah.
care, yeah, they don't care about
It's
it.
been going downhill since they bought.
So I will agree with the idea of bringing another grocery if we can find. I think that'll be a good idea. Cause what they did, they shut off, you know, the small businesses around town. When they move in, but I think they need competition. Because us complaining, I don't think will get us anywhere, but hitting there with their revenue.
It's a pretty good piece of property,
Yeah.
you know. And the Moon House isn't doing that well, I don't think, you
Oh,
know.
the one that's over by the gym.
Yeah, by the Subaru dealer there.
Even, you know,
I don't know,
Aldi's,
that place, I go by that movie, I think, what
Really?
are you doing in the middle of the afternoon in the movie?
Yeah.
yeah, I mean,
Well-
and it's the issue is there's not a lot of smaller players, which is what we had and we needed, because I tried.
One I could talk to down in Haven for hours.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely, I think there is an opportunity, no question about it.
Might be a tough sell with them.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I
Or
mean,
like a Highland Park Market, you know, there's no Highland Park, there's one in Farmington, there's one in Manchester.
The big one has a market 32.
Yep, yeah.
Well,
Like he said, they're local, I mean, you guys
say,
say.
Highland Park, I never got beyond initial discussion because they asked me what the income was within a half mile, or excuse me, how many houses worth $500,000 within a half mile of location? And our
And
numbers
What I
were
asked
terrible.
Chris is on item 8 here, I said, this item 8, we're gonna leave these items on,
Mhm.
some of these items are gonna stay, we're gonna talk about them every week. Or every month, excuse me.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I want this grocery store to stay on the agenda and we'll brainstorm till we figure something out, because it's not fair to our residents to not be able to grocery shop, to satisfactorily grocery shop local. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
There is an option, it's not here yet, that I've been keeping my eye on called Lidl or Lidl, Lidl, direct competitor to Aldi's. They've come as far north as Long Island. Their northernmost distribution centers in Pennsylvania, They were trying to get one in East Fishkill. If that happens, that is north of the city, because the last thing you want to do is try to bring goods through the city.
Well, you've got Trader Joe's, you've got Whole Foods, there's a whole slew of them that we gotta work on this, because
Yeah.
it's not, and you wanna know something? It's much better for our community and our residents if you say, oh, we've got a Trader Joe's, we've got a Whole Foods. It's good that people want that.
Trader
They're
Joe's,
fixed on the shelf.
Trader Joe's is really high on people's list. They love their store. It's a small store, but people love it. They can find
Yeah.
really good items, always fresh products. People love it.
Yeah, so
And that will
They're more
fit, that'll
expensive.
fit in the,
But
in the plaza where,
the problem is, if it's not on the real estate guy's list, you can't look at it. We're not on his list. If it's not on the real estate guy's list, you can't look at it. I talked to him.
Nobody wanted to
Oh,
shop.
you did?
They went
Oh, yeah. No, I've talked to everybody.
Wow.
I talked to everybody. There's actually, there's more
Yeah.
grocery supply right now than demand
that area.
within a 10-mile radius.
Next to this truck park.
So what I like to
That's
see,
big
of
enough
course,
for
so
Trader Joe's.
They won't go to the store. in town.
So we definitely said no.
Perhaps the store tries to keep it where the inventory
Trader
is
Joe's.
minimal. They'll
he has a
still-
list of zip codes. You have to, it's either on the zip, either in that zip code or on the town line of the zip code, and we just don't.
Well, we'll leave it on here, we'll keep talking
Yeah.
about it.
Yeah.
Because they were-
What you might,
But I'm glad that we brought this to the, because we said we always to our residents. I'm glad that we brought this to our agenda.
It wouldn't be bad if they could, the problem is they're a publicly traded company, all they care about is money. You know what I mean? That's the problem.
you can't blame them there,
Yeah, I
but they're not
understand.
delivering.
Yeah, but it's really, and what we talked about here is felt by all the residents, they're just not talking about it. Everyone feels the same way.
They got good Italian bread, that's about it.
They didn't help themselves.
Hmm?
They didn't help themselves at 20.
Well, they just
They were the most draconian of all of them. The arrows and all the other nonsense that was the first one they held on to it the longest. They pissed a lot of people off. It takes time. Plan.
Yeah.
They all went one way.
Yeah.
Found out later on, that's probably not the right way. No.
So maybe the right word is generic. They kept everything generic.
I
There's
think
nothing
Explain
exciting.
it to the district manager.
Yeah.
Say, "Look, you're trying to keep your P and L right,
Hmm.
but you're gonna end up losing the store. So this is what you need, and you'll be more wildly successful if you give the people in the town what they actually want. No one's probably had that conversation.
Why don't we, what, it's not gonna hurt to try to arrange something with them, right?
I'll tell you what, yeah, I do go.
Yeah, you give them the opportunity, right to wrong,
Absolutely.
Yeah, we can, all right, I'll.
Well, at
look
least
up
let 'em know what's
for
going
South
on,
Africa,
what's not.
or you want to.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I've the gentleman who is the real estate guy for Ocean State is one of the major guys in what's called ICSC, which is International Shopping Centers, basically. And Stop and Shop is a big player in that. And yeah, we can definitely see, we can find out who's the person to talk to and
And who's the competitor that you mentioned that is in Rhode Island?
Long Island.
And you thought that we could have a conversation with them?
Until they get a distribution center that's north of New York City. Because it doesn't make economic sense to do a store. I mean, again, we wouldn't be first in Connecticut, but I mean, I was looking at, for instance, the corner with the closed CVS's. In my mind, you're talking about 50,000 square feet, like an Aldi's, same thing. No frills, but it would serve the purpose. It does a great job, and you really couldn't beat it from a location wise.
Even transportation, right there,
Yep.
highways.
You know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna talk to the mayor, I'm gonna ask Mark, because we really have to bring this up a level, it can't be just EDC, we really want town
Yep.
manager, mayor, you want in the meeting.
You know what I'm thinking, Mr. Chairman? We first have to go and check out other Stop and Shops. Let's say the one in Newington offers so much more. Right, and then the one that's in Southington has, so maybe they downgraded Berlin. And they think they're getting away with it. When all their other stores offer all these other things. It's possible.
I'll tell you. that.
To your point, Ed, their store in Glastonbury is much nicer than the one in Berlin.
Yeah, right.
More product, a nicer atmosphere. If I were Stop and Shop, I would be thinking that the store is due for a remodel, and some fresh management attention.
We
Okay.
don't have products in that store. To find anything
Yep.
in the store is impossible.
The minimum.
A minute like
So they're
that.
not stocking anything in the back room. It's joint ordering as they go to try to keep their P and L profit.
Yeah. There's nothing to excite us.
I'll find out. I'll ask him, ask Mike Clark.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not getting.
He must know
No,
about the
sir.
problem too.
March.
Because we want him, we want town
Oh,
manager,
yeah,
we want
yes.
district, and we want to talk to them serious.
Yep.
I'll ask Mark if he's willing to get involved in this, and I'm sure he's gonna say yes, I'm sure. He's heard all the moaning.
Do you feel though, basically the people of Berlin feel that way?
Oh, I think so.
Fine.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
If everyone sitting here has heard it,
Okay, okay.
sure, we all live in different areas,
Yeah.
different you know,
Correct.
Yeah.
groups of
Yeah.
Have
people.
different people.
Yeah.
And everyone says,
So we're on the right track.
all you have to do is walk in there. You kind of have to have blind not to see it. Souls are bare, stuff not there, old stuff, expired stuff like these, that,
Yeah.
you all see it.
Okay, so we'll handle that. Okay, next item is Berlin Turnpike. I don't know if there's anything on that.
Well, I'm hopeful that if they can, do something with the SBDD, we'll start to see some activity down there, because again, right now, being zoned as a shopping mall, it's not gonna do much of anything, but there has been some interest. Again, if the uses can get added, we'll see what happens on May 1st. And then I know too, I believe that, Kerry may be looking to do some things across the street and get some more vibrancy in his plaza, which is nice, the Dunkin' Donuts plaza.
Good.
So I think those, the two major gateway properties on the southern portion of the turnpike, so it's good news.
Okay. We have a DOT respond.
Yep, yes, so there's an email here, basically, you can look at it kind of quickly here is, and this is really my thing, what can we do with gateways, as we were talking about, exit ramps, et cetera. So I think we would need to essentially probably find out what would be involved in trying to make this happen, or maybe we even look at it and go, which locations might be a first way to go, where we think we'd like to do this. And then we can even do a sit down with them and figure out what would need to be done. Again, I would need to figure out as well, like probably with Steve Wood from Parks and Grounds, if this is something that they would kind of take a look at, I'm not sure. But overall, getting a response is a good thing at this point.
Well, I mean, you could go to somebody with second planning. Lawn care.
Yep.
And say, here's the deal. You get a sign off of one of them, this is sponsored by. And your payment. You've been paying. Landscape.
Yeah, they've got something in here which is interesting.
It'll come under the-
Sponsorship would be considered, however, anything considered advertising would not be allowed, which I think we could find a way.
Sponsored
Right.
by.
It's-
is
yep,
how you
it's
get around
sponsored.
that.
Perfect, okay.
It'll probably come under the adopt the ramp.
Yep.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Perfect.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah, when you get off the
Man.
grid, yeah, so sponsored by.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Especially the
They don't
turnpike.
pass it.
They don't do anything special at all for the turnpike.
Anything-
And you go down Route
any of the
9.
exits, We wanna have stuff.
Yeah, you go down
Okay,
Route
so
9,
this
it's all groomed.
Yep.
Where is District 1 out of now?
I mean, the 258 numbers are Rocky Hill numbers, so I'm gonna guess that's probably
I
where
think
they
that's
are.
just the office. Where is the terminal or where the trucks out of? I'm curious if it's out of Meriden or is it out of Old Saybrook?
Okay, we'll move on to, we're done with that one now?
Yes, we are.
Like town owned property, so.
Yep.
What happened is, let's sort of combine this one. I was talking about the Pistol Creek Clubhouse, and I understand that Chris combined it in one line. What happens, so I'll tell you what my intention was. The Pistol Creek Clubhouse has been vacant for a long time. It's actually a beautiful location. It was the clubhouse for the golf course, right? And the town owns it, and they're really, sort of like falling apart. And I've always said that, it's unfortunate. What we should do is really should strive to maybe have a banquet facility there. Because we really don't have a nice banquet facility in town. And we own the property, and Chris and I have had some discussions about this. A few years ago, Chris said, well, we'll invite we'll look at all the, restaurant and catering associations in the Hartford area and the New Haven area, and we'll all invite them up to the Bismarck Creek Clubhouse and say, hey, listen, the town really would like to develop this into a banquet facility possibly. And, we're looking for, RFPs, requests for proposals from you. And maybe what you do is because it's gonna need a lot of renovation, because the place, they haven't done anything to it. Well, but I'm sure from a structural standpoint, like it's not falling down, it's not that old, the building's not that old, but the outside.
maintenance.
It needs maintenance. So what happens is let's say, Mr. Smith from, the New Haven Banquet Center said, yeah, I'd like to have a banquet center in Berlin. And what's gonna cost me, $500,000 to renovate the building and you cut a deal with them, say, look, if you renovate it, we'll give you rent free for a couple of years and then we're gonna start charging you rent. Before I came tonight, I said to myself, ask the commissioners, and I asked myself, if you own the property, if I own it, if Maggie owned it, if Ed owned it separately, if Chris owned it, what would you do with the property? Would you just watch it just fall apart? What would you do with it if you owned it? Like you own it, I'll tell you, it's yours. You own it, Chris Copeland. What do you do? Just drive by it every day for the next 10 years, keep looking at it, let it fall apart? No, you're gonna say, I gotta make some money here. I gotta pay for my kids' college. I gotta pay for retirement.
Yep.
You do something with it.
Yep.
Yeah.
I have
So,
so many people that would rent it,
Alright.
but Chris and I have talked about turning it into like almost like a country club, like a private supper club. People pay a membership. You bring in a 5-star chef, once a month you bring in a guest chef to come in. People that come there, go to dinner there a couple of times, they use the banquet facility, the whole nine yards. And the town can actually support it. They do it all over the country. They put a place in it. And then the people become members. They don't have to be a golf course. Just a membership, the people can go, and then the family has access to it for birthdays, anniversaries, things of that nature. At least, like, Dave and I had the conversation, it just covers the expenses so that the town doesn't have an albatross on its back.
yeah, and I think there, in addition, I mean,
Do anything.
and we also, I mean, David Allen Hospitality is in town. The only thing he doesn't have is a facility, which he and I have talked about. So Jim, I don't know if you want to get on for a second. Jim and I were talking about a couple different things, more looking at the expanse of it, for the fact that this is one of a handful of different properties. Good example is there's a half-acre lot that sits on Kensington Road. Okay, it's part of the town hall complex. You can't get to it from town hall. We got to mow it. We got to shovel it. That to me is something you take a look at. Why would somebody not want to build a house there? Because it doesn't really do anything except costs us. So Jim had some ideas on it, and Jim, I don't know if you want to talk briefly about kind of what you're thinking, more of a broad look. Again, Thistle Creek building being one of the ones that's of interest, but overall looking at things from what you were talking about and maybe some of the items you have at the town council agenda item you and I were talking about.
So I guess, again, Chris and I have been talking about it, and we talked about also, for example, the last piece at Pistol Creek that we purchased on the, that's south of Atkins, of Spruce Brook and such, whether that property, could be surplus. But as part of the plan of conservation and development, we mapped town-owned properties, and we looked at, a lot of them are used as schools, et cetera, and some of them are, have conservation easements, they're parks, and then there's others that, don't have those designated uses or restrictions at this point. So the question is, is the town interested in leasing or selling, some of these properties for, generating tax revenue and amenities, for creating amenities for the town, taking away cost of maintenance, things of that nature. So it's, I've talked to the council over many years about different properties, and my experience is, the town really hasn't been interested in selling very much, and hasn't been that interested in leasing things. And like the clubhouse, there's been constraints about, you know, we bought it with you know, bonds, and then there's bond restrictions that last for a certain period of time, et cetera. But so I guess in the big picture is, you know, we've got some maps. There's more research that needs to be done about, you know, whether there's deed restrictions on some of these properties that the town owns, like many of them might have been dedicated as open space as part of subdivisions. So they might have those restrictions. We haven't gone to that level of researching every, you know, conservation easement and stuff. But we have a good, you know, good map, a good database, good starting point that people could look at and, you know, ask whether there's that kind of opportunity. Now, you know, again, if that's something that wants to be pursued, then, you know, how does it happen? Now, the town manager, you know, a while ago had a real estate committee, and they were looking at particularly the tax delinquent properties. And as you know, I think they've become much more aggressive about, you know, tax sales. That's been very successful in generating revenue, and you know, usually the property owner, you know, pays the back taxes, and occasionally they transfer hands, but not very often. But it's a way to make things happen. And you know, if this is going to be pursued, you know, maybe if the town manager had some direction from the council and put in a little committee, maybe Chris is, you know, leading it, or you know, but I think it needs to have other disciplines like planning and, you know, and set up a process to you know, is that what you want to do? Set up a process, consider whether there's any of these properties are excess, and if so, whether the town wants to pursue doing something with them.
Yeah, so Jim, what happened is, this all came to my attention, you know, years ago when Jack Healy was here as our town manager. And Jack said, you know, you guys, and he was from Litchfield County. He said, you know, he used to drive in from there. And he was an engineer. Jack was a smart guy. He said, you know, you guys own too much property. You own all this stuff. It's not being utilized. And that's when I first heard about it. So, you know, there are some, if you look at it all, just like if I put it back to you and say, if you owned Pete Campanelli, all the Berlin land, it was Pete Campanelli land or Maggie land, what would you do with it? You know, there's pieces like, get rid of it. You're never going to use it. You might as well put it on the tax rolls. So I guess the question is, what's the process? You know, maybe EDC sort of oversees it initially before we push it to town council, and maybe we just get a list.
Let's get the list first,
Get the list. We'll
because it's
review
dotted all over the place.
Yeah, let's make a list somehow. And then we could say, okay, and then we could maybe elevate, you know, 20 of the properties. And these are like some key ones that we might do something with. And then we go to town council and say, hey, you guys want to do something with this one?
No, that definitely can be done, and I think that, again, we want to have something through town council to give authority to a group to start moving these in some way.
Yeah, but can't we just look?
No,
Is there-
we can, Dave, but what I'm saying is the fact that we definitely want to have council. Yes, I
You
can,
know, we can, you know, is there 50 pieces or 350 pieces?
well,
I think-
there's
from what I hear,
there's probably
a lot.
300 pieces, but you're probably looking at dozen, 20 maybe is what I'm thinking for properties that are worth looking at, that have the potentially of viability. Again, a lot of things will be looked at. One, is it a piece of property that was given to the town as open space as part of the subdivision?
Yeah, we know we can't do anything with that, but you look at the little house at Little People's Playground.
Oh, yeah, no,
It just sits there, the house just sits there. Okay, you could probably rent that out for $2,000 a month, easy, if it was fixed and ready to go, right? You've got the old Mark Nissan property by Sage Park, right? Okay, it's right on the turnpike, right? We own it, right? It's a parking lot. Do we want to save it for Sage Park? Do we want to sell it for $1 million so somebody could put a business there? All right, you got Pistol Creek. We can name 10 or 12 right now that are just like no.
Let me get a list of the commission members, and then we can bring this up and kind of have it on the list as we go.
You know, there's probably 70% of them are, you know.
There are businesses who wants to come into the town, and they're looking for property. So if we have a list, then we can designate, okay, this property will fit your need, you can sell it or lease it, or however you want to do it. Yeah, property business that wants to come in looking for.
Yeah.
If you owned all the land if Ed, you own the land, you just wouldn't sit here and just say, yeah, I own it, but I'm not doing it. You wouldn't just ignore it, you'd do something.
Right, but the
Right.
first thing you gotta do is actually get the list, have
Yes.
that map
Identify
laid
the
out.
property.
Yes, right.
Because there's pieces out there that are an acre out in, off of Chamberlain Highway, almost out in the middle of nowhere, okay? It's no good to anybody, except whoever abuts to it. Now, you're probably not gonna get a lot of money for it, but if someone could extend their property and you sell them an acre of property for $5,000. Take and start accumulating this money when they get to a point that you have a sum of money, have it earmarked for something.
And then it becomes taxable, because instead of the 1 acre, he has an acre and a half.
Absolutely. Okay. But you brought up the acreage on the turnpike.
Yeah.
All right. That should be moved on. That's been sitting way too long, and it's basically at the point that it's clean. Jim, is that at a point that it's clean enough to utilize it now?
Yeah, we're trying to finalize the, DEP sign off. Our environmental consultant's working on that verification report now. So, it's been cleaned up, but we have to get the DEP to sign it off on it.
If it's going to extend the parking lot and there's still property behind that area that they use for temporary parking. To extend another field and so forth, okay? But the idea of getting the list and putting it on a map is a good idea. And that's the best way to start before we even start get too far into this.
Okay, all right, all right.
You have the map and the list, so that you can look at that.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I'm looking at that map up there, right? And if all the properties we own were in red, we'd know like the majority of it, right? If everything was red where we owned it, I said, oh, now I know what we own.
Jim, the list, does it say how big the parcels are?
Yeah, it says, address or map block lot, the size, size of the parcel.
The
Yes.
stuff is landlocked too, right?
Yeah, I've done a lot of digging through it and tried to get some basic information on it, so
Well,
we'll
let's
see what
just
we
try to
currently
get
have.
a handle on it at our end a little bit.
Yep, absolutely.
All right.
Yep,
so
I agree.
Would it be this commission's charge to do something like that?
Yeah, I think we can take a look at it and then,
Okay.
We get started with it and then maybe we say, hey, this is getting big, let's hand it off to someone, or we continue with it.
All right, yeah.
And then it's gonna be up to town council to say. Who knows? Who knows? I don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's talk about it for 30 years.
Yeah, I know. So anyway, okay, that's town-owned land, okay. Now we're looking at, I asked Chris to put this on the agenda, Sherwood Falls vacant lot, right across Sherwood Falls, there's a lot there. And I gotta say, it
Weren't they
must
supposed to
be,
build there?
yes.
10 years ago, they were telling us.
Yeah, so Sherwood Falls, I believe, or I should say CIL, I believe, was approved to put townhouses there. There was some kind of an argument between the condo association and CIL. The land kind of sits there. I believe it was part of Sherry Cup, so there was some contamination on the property. And it's kind of gone back and forth. I've been talking to someone from the Carrier family, looking to come in and essentially look to do the same thing, which would do townhouses, condos. They're working through the process right now. I believe a couple last things I need to look at again to make sure they can build on it because of the environmental.
Who owns it, Chris? Who owns it? CIL still own it?
It is owned by CIL, but the development rights are owned by the condo association.
Okay, so I've been asking for a long time about this. And I keep hearing, Pentor's their attorney, and yeah, we're waiting. So I've asked to have the developer come in and talk to us about this. And I'm hearing the same thing today that I heard 6 months ago or a year ago. So what are we gonna do? Cause first of all summer, the weeds are this high. We don't blight them, we don't make them cut it down. It looks like hell. And really, the residents of Berlin, I could sell all those units on a Sunday morning to Berlin residents. Like this,
Especially in that location.
like this. So I'm not accepting that, the developer's still talking. Either I want the attorney to come in here, I want the developer, I want CIL to tell us what they're doing.
Nobody's doing anything because nobody's gonna give you a sign off for financing without the environmental being done.
Well, who's doing the environmental? What stage are they at?
I connected them with environmental, we're part of a group called Regional Regional Brownfield Partnership last Thursday.
Okay,
So
so now I'm getting the picture.
Yep.
So you connected them, but did they hire them yet?
Regional Brownfield Partnership does not do environmental testing. They get funding from federal government to do assessments. So they can work with them, either current owner or developer, to look at what they need. They provide a portion of the money, and then there's a, say, 20% match for the property owner. I was not part of that discussion, but that's kind of where things stand at the moment. I believe they want to do something, but again, they're not going to move forward until they know that they.
Okay, so CIL still owns it.
Yeah, that, if I may, there was an interest in the property by Newport previously. And, again, as Chris says, one of the complications on this matter is that, CIL still owns the fee, but the developer owns the development rights. So, CIL doesn't have a lot of skin in the game anymore. But we had gotten a grant through Naugatuck Valley to do additional environmental testing of the property. We got contributions from, the homeowners association and from Newport that was interested in the property at the time, and the town. And we did some testing regarding PFAS. It came out looking, I think, good. There was more work to be done, and just to close the loop on that. And the property owners association, as far as we know, we know that they entered into a contract with Carrier. It hasn't moved forward. So I mean,
All right, how long the
we can
contract- when did
continue
they-
to work on it, but really, it's their decision. The property owners association would work with their attorney.
Okay, so how long's the contract good with Carrier?
We don't know if there's a current contract with Carrier.
Okay, so the contract may have expired, so maybe we should call CIL in here. Or the president of the association and say, hey, can you give us an update about this land? Because the town would really like to develop it. There's huge demand for it. Can you just tell us where you stand? Oh, yeah, well, we engaged Carrier. They didn't do
The
anything.
attorney for the homeowners association would
association.
never let them come in here.
Well, so are
Say
we,
that again?
The attorney for the homeowners association would never let them come into the room.
so how do you get an update about this land?
Just reached out to Mr. Carrier right now to find out where things are.
Oh, wouldn't you say it's blight?
Not without a building on it. You cannot make it blight because
Because
Councilman Rosso asked that same question.
everything's just a natural growth. So it's, okay.
Why don't you invite Mr. Carrier here? Let's talk to him. If he's serious about it, you think he wouldn't want to talk to EDC? Invite him. Who's his attorney? Mentor? Just invite him. How are we gonna get an update? No one wants to talk. Let's bring him in. You better invite him to EDC next month.
Yeah.
Invite if Pentor's an attorney, invite Rick here and invite Carrier.
Because it will just sit forever.
We're not gonna get anywhere.
Yeah.
And there's a demand, people, there's Berlin residents that like to stay in town and they can't find anything. So they end up going to another town, but they really like to stay here because they're engaged, they've been.
Or
here
they
their
just don't sell. Don't sell it.
Then they just sit on their house, they don't sell, because they have nowhere else to go. I think there was 14 units they talked about, that. You could sell those all, there'd be a bidding war for all those right now. Okay, correct?
But to be honest with you, Mr. Chairman, I look at it differently. I look at it as blight.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's a problem too.
If nothing was ever built there, at least clean the corner up. That's all.
Yeah.
All right,
Yeah.
yeah,
if
it'd
they
be
wanna-
nice, it'd be nice if it was developed, but you can't make someone develop something.
What's on that property?
Well, there was a factory there.
Back
That
to the
Sherry
garage,
Cup was
right
there and there was some stuff in the ground. They think, but Jim's saying they looked at it, but
How much green space is gonna be there? It's gonna be parking lot. building.
yeah,
They're gonna take 2 feet off the grid anyway.
but
What's
Ed's
the
right.
environmental problem? What are they gonna do? Sniff through the pavement?
They may have to cap it, you know?
They will.
Doesn't the asphalt do that?
Yes.
No answer.
Yeah. But like, Ed's absolutely correct. If they mowed all the weeds down, planted grass and, you know,
Yeah.
have a
No.
nice grassed area, plant a couple of little dogwood trees, it'd be beautiful.
Fine.
Make a park with some benches or something,
It looks
just
like
pretty.
it right now.
I think they're using those parking.
No,
That part, no, because it's all weeds.
No, it's all grown.
if I understand it correctly, there's a paved area and then there's a dirt area that's used for parking. And then this rest of this corner
Okay.
is just overgrown.
Okay, so we'll, if we can, Chris, let's try to invite the developer, please.
Send them a message and then we'll try to do that.
And have them come down here, because the town is concerned, and they'd like to know what's going on. Okay, so the last item on item 8, Chris called it Ferndale Plaza. Somebody called it Ferndale Square. I know it's Ferndale Plaza. But somebody, and so I asked Chris to put this on the agenda. And so what happens is after Rich Brownstein was here, he told us about his development where, you know, he's brother-in-law of Sussman across the street. And he bought all the property over there with the package store, the old movie house, Carlton's, the old building. He bought it all and he came in here and he pitched us, right? And he wants 60 units, right? He said 60 units of, he wants to put 60 rentals in there. And I asked him at that day, I said, well, on Carlton, are you gonna expand the footprint or are you going up? And he said he's going up. Okay, so I drove through there the other day. Well, no, I drove through there like within a week of our last meeting. And I looked around. I drove all the way around, on the back of the building, back of the package store, everything. And I sort of ended up with a vision for that particular property. And somebody called it, we should call it Ferndale Square, which is a little different than a plaza. And so what happens is, I think that, and Rich Brownstein said, yeah, eventually maybe we'll put a light in there, you know, slow things down. And so I think that because they own both pieces, we can make this sort of like a second mini downtown, a mini little Blueback area. And I think it's important to get a light or some kind of traffic calming to slow everyone down as they go through it. Because I know people buzz through it, no one slows down, very few, unless you're pulling in. And if we could slow all the traffic down there with lights, signage, whatever you gotta do, I don't know how to do that. You put 60 units in. The architecture for the package store building, and it used to be Credit, right? Okay, I would say they gotta redo all the architecture, because that building looks like that. The north side, the siding is 2 different colors, there's gray and there's a light gray. That whole building should be, the architecture should be fixed and made nice. What I don't want to have happen is you just dump 60 units in there and say, bye, we got our rentals, we're out of here. I think they owe it to if we can control it now, because we're giving approvals, and they really should try to make something really nice there and make it almost like a downtown area. But you gotta slow the traffic down. You gotta put sidewalks everywhere. You gotta put planters. There's a way to do it. You know, you can go through in West Hartford Center, LaSalle Road, Raymond Road. No one slows down because there's a lot of action going there. You could slow that whole area down. When you hit the Hanson's Funeral Home, it's got to, well, it's Porter's, not Hanson's. Everyone's got to slow down. At the bottom of the hill coming from Grove Hill Clinic, everyone's got to slow down. And if you put the right signage, the right lighting, everyone's going to slow down. And then what happens is you get traffic calming and you get pedestrian traffic. And I could easily see people that, you know, maybe want to rent a unit because it's a cool place to be. Now, the lighting on both sides of the road for the parking lot should be the same. The lighting that's put in there on the Sussman side, it really is not that. It's very basic lighting. But you know, if you dressed up the parking lot lighting, you could make that area very beautiful and a destination.
No question.
You know, you could have maybe there'll be an ice cream shop, you want to eat, you get an ice cream, you walk across the street, you buy your cognac, whatever you want, you know.
Get your hair cut.
Yeah, get your hair cut, yeah. So I think that there's a bigger plan here than just approving 60 units of rental. And I think because we have the approval authority, meaning P and Z, they can control what happens there.
It could be a little community within itself.
Well, that's what I mean.
Now, the,
5 stories ain't gonna fly away.
no.
No,
4 is probably not gonna fly.
No higher than what we
Okay,
got.
because but my question was this. Is the gentleman that came in to see us, is he also part owners with the main plaza that's
yeah,
there?
that's his brother-in-law.
Yeah,
Dustin's his
yeah,
brother-in-law.
Yeah,
So then they can coordinate it. It's not 2 different
Yeah.
owners.
no, there would have to be coordination, and I think anything that happens between the two properties, I think would have to be, I wouldn't say mandated, but somebody has to say, yes, you need to do that because of the increased activity. Again, is it a light? Is it again, whatever it happens to be.
So American tax abatement, do something, so I could do it for $5 million, we can help you out, you know, that plaza, build some more stuff.
I think it definitely is worth talking about, absolutely.
I could see
I
the
don't know
whole
enough.
area
Yeah, no,
filling
no.
up with businesses, you know, like if you made it really nice and attractive, the rentals would go like this and you could get more money.
If you build it, they will come.
Yep.
Think
Yeah,
about
so
what-
You know, it was a busy area at one time.
It was, I know.
Can't take to bring it back, because there's nothing out in the town.
No,
No, we could do it,
That-
we could
We
make
can't
it a
really support
destination
supermarkets.
point.
We haven't had good luck there.
Yeah, I mean, we did have a meeting with the planning staff, so they did sit down, kind of come up with some concepts.
Yeah, but Chris, I know, I've been trying to arrange a conference call with you and Maureen myself, and I haven't been able to pull it off. You know, and I'm afraid, just like Knights of Columbus, okay, it's a done deal, what the hell, we're late to the party, and Knights of Columbus is done. You know, it's not a campus, look, there's very little connectivity. What I don't want to have happen is Ferndale Plaza ends up like, just Brownstein ends up going through and they say, no, 60 units is not gonna happen, we'll give you 50 and that's it. And then he puts up 50 units, and if you look at that package store building, it's terrible, you know, it's just an old, yeah, he's an old facade, cupolas, overhangs, needs to be fixed, it looks like heck. And if you wanna draw there,
It's just outdated at this point, that's all.
but if P
It's had
and
its
D doesn't
day.
tell them, hey, you gotta fix that building, they're not gonna do it.
But you know what, as a developer coming in, he's gonna wanna do that too.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
tell him, he doesn't know, we gotta have another meeting with him, I want a meeting.
He
with
would
him.
be cutting his own
Down
throat
what
by
they wanna
not,
do.
What's that?
They have to take that whole building down, to prove what they gotta do.
Well, you know, take it down or renovate it, you know, you can do a whole facade upgrade and it look beautiful, you know, but you gotta take it down and do something else, that's up to him. But he's the one who wants the 60 units.
Yeah, and again, and then the other issue is the how, which would be language, because it's currently, apartments are currently not allowed in the zone. As we talked about, the theater property is in the same zone.
Well, okay, so you even have more leverage.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is it would have to be written in a way that we don't get 600 units on the theater property. I think would be the concern, but yes, well, let me see if I can get that call, Dave, you, myself, and Maureen, because I think things are somewhat calmer. So we'll get that call with her, and I think at this point, yes, there's an opportunity. He wants to do something, and I think what you were saying, Chris, is his intent is not to put it sky high. He wants to make it work, because again, the entire part of town there is within the family. And you want it to be viable for everybody there, including, again, you want the neighbors in the rear to be able to use the services, the retail, the fitness, whatever it is. So I think it
Why
It
don't we
needs to
help
fit.
him with his vision? That's what I'm talking, help the guy with his vision.
We're gonna make sure the brother wants that.
Why don't we-
He's never been on anyone, dude.
let them do their work first and put it in front of us, and then you can have suggestions. Now, they're not gonna build garbage. Let's face it, it doesn't sell. Right?
Right.
So, this is, I'll call it this way, this is not their first rodeo. They know, okay?
Yeah, but I know too, Ed, you know, once they get their apartments up, you know, they're getting their checks every month. It's over, it's over. You think they're gonna add sidewalks where they don't have to? You think they're gonna put?
No,
planters there?
you do that from day one.
Yeah.
You do that from day one.
Yeah.
You want it done properly. Okay, you want the right pedestrian flow.
Yeah.
You want that pedestrian flow to be safe. Okay, this is all to their advantage,
Right.
because if it turns sour, people aren't gonna wanna be there. Right, but they also mentioned, the developer before mentioned about nurses and so forth. from, from the hospital.
Yeah,
Okay.
It'd be just for help.
And then whatever's going to happen with the mall down the street, is that going to be, who bought that?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Part of it. Buy the whole thing.
okay, so,
Which property?
Well, you also have both.
America's
You have Mid-State and the House of Connecticut with or without the mall project.
that could be
Huge
housing
hospitals.
for that type of
Yeah, beautiful.
tenants,
Yeah.
okay?
But if you remember what Mr. Brownstein said right here, he said, yeah, I know about, the traffic, it goes through a little quick and, somewhere down the road, he said it right here, I'll maybe look at a light. That somewhere down the road is never gonna happen.
Who said that?
Rich Brownstein said it right here.
He talked about a crosswalk with a possible signal light.
Yeah, yeah, he said maybe somewhere, no, he said somewhere down the road,
yeah?
we'll do some lighting.
Okay.
But we need that now. In order to get that, in order for this to work, the traffic has to come to a crawl through that section. And then it works.
Yeah, the bend is dangerous.
Yeah, so how do you do that? No one's gonna wanna cross that road if everyone's going 55 miles an hour, which they basically are every day. Who the hell wants to take a chance?
So why wouldn't they wanna be on board with that? They just like push it back.
Yeah.
And say, listen, this is in your best interest to do it so that your tenants can get across the street safely.
Well, I think that if we explain what maybe our vision is, and help them along, they say,
Yep.
hey, I gotta talk to my brother-in-law and get him on board and let's make all this like. It's not that difficult. They're all
Yep.
very close.
All right, one major question. Are we going to just change that corner? Or are we going to affect the whole community in that area? And that's gonna be the major question. Okay,
You mean the property owners?
yeah, all of
residents?
Chamberlain Highway and houses in that area. You wanna make this, it's gonna be attractive to them too, and not put it in their head that you're taking their tranquility away.
They don't care about putting Amazon warehouses in the best money.
Well,
That's pretty just.
because when the other developer came in right away with 4 stories,
Yeah.
told them right away, if you're using that for a bargaining tool, don't bother, come in with 3 stories and let's talk. You know,
And you can't house just one group. Remember those, I said it at the meeting, I was there. You're gonna put only nurses or only healthcare professionals, just remember. 2 years staring that virus in the face, when the vaccine came out, you're all gonna get fired if you don't take it. Can't be turned inside out, and you gotta open to all professionals, so that you have varying market. So that you're not just stuck in one spot, but I understand what you're saying, proximity with people. But as a
I think
developer,
you just
you're
put
gonna
it
want
out
somebody
there,
to
it's
split up.
appealing to them because it's close.
Yeah, I understand.
you're gonna get all types of
And
Well, let me-
hopefully-
residents.
You had something,
But-
Augie,
I'll talk to Rich and see what I can find out where things are.
Especially if they work for
I was
rent.
thinking that over there, to satisfy those groups, meaning the developer and the residents. If we bring something that will meet everybody in the middle, which is, okay, we have those 3 stories. So we shrink it down, but we also have commercial in the bottom. Spaces where people can bring little services for that area, because that area doesn't have much services, so if we can have it go, so we satisfy the residential for him, where he gets his income, but also the residents around it for barber shop or whatever, nail shop. We don't have, nail shop, everything is on Farmington Avenue. Ice cream is on Farmington Avenue, cupcakes are on Farmington Avenue, nothing in that area.
Yeah, I'll see if I can bring Rich back to us and we can have this discussion. I think that'd be a good thing to do.
Putting more density people in that area, make more people wanna go to the strip malls.
Correct.
and if
And
you
there's
take
more
it-
people in that area now than when there was a active shop.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Yeah.
people looking for something convenient, they don't have to come out
I don't think
downtown,
it's like
they can
traffic.
come over there from going
That's
to
gotta be more now than 20 years ago.
dropping your kid, go your, having your
Just gotta
day
be a
down.
reason to
Yeah,
stop.
all the people that live up around Griswold School, they could walk,
Yeah,
there
they
would be
could.
something there. All the
Right.
people that live up on Hickory Hill, across the street, up on the hill, they could walk. Well, who the heck's gonna try to cross Chamberlain Highway at 55 miles an hour? No one wants to bring their
Well,
kids
that's the
there.
fact, if you don't slow them down, and they don't have time, take their eyes off the road to go see what are in those blocks.
All
They're
those,
slowing right by them.
That's a very good
They'll
point.
stop. But if you slow them down, they have time to stop and look at their, oh, it's back.
I just had one last thing here. Well, I wanted to mention the fact that Bob, Dave, Maggie, and Vince all need to go to the town clerk's office and just kind of get sworn in when you get a chance. Pretty simple process, but as new members.
I was one of them.
You know, we're forgetting too that that's on a bus route, which all helps.
That'd be beautiful. I could just envision it being this really cool place, like, okay, we're not going to this place, let's go to the Ferndale Square. And hang out, you know, and have
Yeah.
a meal, and it could be really cool,
It could be,
yeah,
for everybody.
for everyone, so.
Ready.
Okay, anything else, folks? I know that
That's it.
9 is done. 10 adjournment.
Okay.
Adjourn, second somewhere,
I'll second.
you can have no further discussion,
You really
all
have
those
some-
in favor say
Yeah,
aye.
Aye.
you really have
Opposed,
something about that. You're gonna
abstain,
miss this.
motion passes, thank you.